Hi everyone! 2 videos in one day with my voice, how exciting. So I have decided on the story I'm going to be using for my musical. And that story is the Massacre of Glencoe. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go through the story of the Massacre of Glencoe, talk about who the key people were, what actually happened, where I can see music going in. I promise I'm not going to become a history channel. I just find this story very interesting. There's lots of different themes in it that I think would actually be really great in a musical. If you like the story, feel free to give me a like. Don't feel you have to. So, prepare to see my amazing animation drawings because they are something else. So, the Massacre of Glencoe. Yeah, sorry, I'm not going to use my own drawings. So many people think that the massacre was just a fight between two rival clans, the Campbells and the MacDonalds, which got out of hand. But that's not actually true. The truth is that the Campbells were just a pawn in an evil and sinister game which went all the way from high levels of government all the way up to the king himself. So the king at the time was William III, or William of Orange. The massacre was meant to be an act of punishment for the MacDonald clan for refusing to accept the king's authority, but it turned into a bloodthirsty excuse for some of the most powerful people in Scotland to settle old scores against the rebellious Highland clans. So in 1691, King William was firmly in the throne of both England and Scotland after the last king, King James VII and II, was defeated and driven into exile in France. But King William has a problem. The clans had sworn an oath of allegiance to James, so they couldn't be trusted. So William decided it was time for a showdown and he was determined to be the winner. He decided to offer amnesty to the clans who had fought for James on the condition that they swear allegiance to him before the 1st of January 1692. Those who failed to meet this deadline would face execution. He realised, though, that the oath would be meaningless unless James was willing to release the clans from their oaths to him. So he asked James to agree to this. He sent an ambassador to France to make the offer, and James accepted the offer. However, by the time the ambassador got back to Edinburgh and sent out the offer to the Highland chiefs, it was already the 29th of December. So 3 days before the deadline was due. The MacDonalds were one of the proudest clans in the Highlands, and they fiercely supported James during the Jacobite cause. But their leader, Alexander MacDonald, realised that he didn't really have a choice, and he had to swear an oath of allegiance to King William. And this is where the whole thing sort of turns into a bit of a comedy of errors. So Alexander set out for Fort William. So he set out from Glencoe to Fort William. But when he got there was only a few hours left before the deadline. So he got there on the 31st of December and he only had a few hours. He went to the local governor, Colin John Hill, but he didn't have the powers to receive his oath. Hill told Alexander that only the civil magistrate could take the oath, that he was 74 miles south in Inverary. So Alexander set off south immediately. There was a big snowstorm going on. The snow was really deep. But along the way, he managed to get arrested and was locked up for 24 hours by Grenadier Guards. By the time he got to Inverary, sorry, that's my script, it was the 2nd of January, and he had missed the deadline for the oath. The sheriff, Sir Colin Campbell, didn't actually return to work until the 5th of January, so he initially refused to accept Alexander's oath because the deadline had passed. But he eventually relented and accepted his oath. So Alexander felt sure that the problem was over, he and his clan were safe, and everything would just go on. But his troubles were only just beginning. So the certificate testifying that Alexander had taken the oath was sent to Edinburgh for the sheriff clerk to check. So his name was also Colin Campbell, and he didn't like the MacDonalds or any form of irregular practice such as accepting a late oath being made. He saw this as an opportunity to get his own back, so he removed MacDonald's name from the certificate and then he passed it on to the Scottish secretary. So his name was Sir John Dalrymple. Dalrymple absolutely hated the Highland clans, and he saw this as a golden opportunity for vengeance. So here he is. Here's Sir John Dalrymple. Dalrymple decided that an example needed to be made of the MacDonalds. So on the 7th of January, he sent a letter to Sir Thomas Livingstone, who was the commander-in-chief of the King's armies in Scotland, saying, "I hope the soldiers will not trouble the government with prisoners." So an order was sent to King William, and King William signed it. 2 companies of Argyll's regiment, totaling around 120 men, were ordered to go to Glencoe and await further orders. The commanding officer was Captain Robert Campbell of Glenlyon. He was said to be an alcoholic who had a strong grudge against the MacDonalds of Glencoe because 2 years earlier, the MacDonalds had left a trail of destruction when they passed through his estates when they were on their way back from a battle in the Jacobite cause. When the soldiers arrived in Glencoe, they used the cover story that they were there to collect tax arrears in the area and showed false papers to back up their story. So in a true Highland fashion, the troops were given great hospitality. They were given free board and lodgings in the villages around the glen, and the troops stayed for 12 days, enjoying their company and really enjoying their time and the hospitality they were being shown. Captain Campbell's own niece was even married to a member of the MacDonald clan, and he would regularly go and visit them for a drink and a chat. So Dalrymple sent the order to attack directly through Livingstone. So Captain Campbell's orders were both brutal and clear. They said, "You are hereby ordered to fall upon the rebels, the MacDonalds of Glencoe, and put all to the sword under severity. You are to have a special care with that old fox and his sons. Do upon no account escape your hands. You are to secure all the avenues that no man escape." So, Captain Campbell's deceit and treachery was strong until the end. The night before the attack, he was playing cards with the sons of the chief Alexander, and even accepted an invitation to eat with the chief the next day. At 5 a.m. the next morning, on the 13th of February, men, women and children were slaughtered in their beds. The attack took almost all of the clan by surprise. Alexander MacDonald was shot twice while trying to get out of bed and fell dead in front of his wife. She was stripped of all her clothing and thrown out of the house into a snowstorm, where she later died from exposure. Not being content with just killing the MacDonalds, no. The soldiers also set fire to houses, forcing those who hadn't been killed to flee into the mountains, thinking that they would die from exposure, and they were right. In total, around 38 people were murdered in their homes, and an unknown amount died in the mountains and the snow from exposure. Around 1,500 cows and 500 horses are also thought to have died. You would think that would be the end, but no. Dalrymple was happy with what he had done. As far as he was concerned, the massacre was a job well done. He described the slaughter as a great work of charity, and that his only regret was that some of the MacDonalds had gotten away. His view was that of the minority view, though. All over the country, people were reacting to the news with horror and anger. King William realised that a major blunder had been made, and he tried to extricate himself from the mess. He was claiming that he had only signed the order because it was buried in a huge stack of papers and he hadn't even read it before he signed it. So Dalrymple was sacked from his post, and a commission of inquiry was set up to investigate the whole affair. Dalrymple took the brunt of the blame, but he was never tried or prosecuted because his accusers knew that he would cite the king's complicity in his defence. Those involved tried to deflect public opinion by claiming that the attack was a straightforward clan feud between the Campbells and the MacDonalds, and they were successful because, to this day, quite a few Scots do believe it is simply a battle between the two clans that got out of hand. But from then on, the MacDonalds and the other clans harboured a grudge towards the king and those who carried out his actions in his name. This would simmer until the Jacobite risings of the 18th century, which caused it all to boil over and a full-scale rebellion against the crown broke out. And that is the story of the Massacre of Glencoe. So I think it would be a really interesting musical. It's got lots of themes from revenge and vengeance. There's a plot twist in there. You've got corruption. I can pretty much see where songs would fit in, and underscores, and a lot of mood music. So this is the story I'm probably going to be using. So I've got a lot more research to do. I'm planning a trip up to Glencoe to go and visit the site and the museum and get to know the story more in depth and the landscape so that I can really shape staging and music. So yeah, it's a story with drama, that's for sure. So my next plan will be to do some more research, go and visit Glencoe, start storyboarding and researching the characters, because they're real people, so they deserve that level of respect as to getting to know them as much as possible, and finding a musical theme, because I like those musicals where there's a theme running throughout the whole thing, kind of like in Wicked has that unlimited theme in a lot of songs. So yeah, I'm gonna try and find a theme. Yeah, so if you like this video, feel free to give me a like, share your thoughts in the comments down below, and it probably won't be tomorrow that another one of these comes up. I think I doubt these are going to be on a regular schedule, but yeah. So thanks. See you later.